Welcome back to the Whiskey and Wisdom podcast. Today we're drinking on a gin drink today.
Yes.
But most importantly, we have brought Alex Richardson back to the podcast again.
Woohoo!
Mostly to focus on Fourth Trimester Mission. Since this will be the first one that comes out, you'll be the first to know that this is going to be nearly a whole entire month of nonprofits that we're introducing you to basically get you to know about what's going on around the Wilmington and Southeast North Carolina area, leading into the giving season of the holiday seasons that we're leading into now. So without further ado, thank you for coming back on.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. And I love the nonprofit theme going into the holidays. Giving back is so important.
Yeah. So before we go too deep into it, would you like this gimlet?
Yes, I wanna try it.
I haven't even tried it yet.
I don't remember the last time I had gin.
I have it like on a regular basis, but that's just because I'm Chris and I try random
that's
stuff.
nice. It's not too sweet.
Since we've been overdoing whiskey over the past 3 years, gin has been my new liquor vice.
Go-to.
Yeah.
So this is the Azalea Station Blueberry Gimlet. Foraged gin, simple syrup, lime juice, and muddled blueberries.
I like it.
It is super clean and simple. You can make this at home. As long as blueberries are in season, I guess.
You can always get them frozen, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's harder to muddle them.
Yes.
And that was the hard part. It was she had to do a double strain just to make sure it wasn't just chunks of blueberries. And I feel kind of bad for it, but not because it tastes delicious.
It is good. It is good.
But cheers.
Cheers. Distant cheers.
I can read.
Oh, yay. I have short arms.
So, for those who don't know, what is Fourth Trimester Mission?
All right, so Fourth Trimester Mission is a obviously local to Wilmington nonprofit that supports pregnant and new mothers. So that time, you have 3 trimesters while you're pregnant. That first 12 weeks postpartum is called the fourth trimester, and it is a severely overlooked time in our country across the board for maternal health and wellness. We get overlooked for so many resources and just the amount of struggle that happens in that time mentally, physically, emotionally for a woman. We're there to support it. We do home visits where we have a postpartum doula who comes and brings a meal from Clean Eats and a gift bag and just does a check-in with mom. How's feeding? How's sleeping? How's your healing going? And we try to connect her with any resources in the area that maybe she's not getting from her one postpartum visit with her doctor. And then we also have new mother meetups, which are meant for women who are pregnant through about 6 months postpartum. And it's just a private space with just mamas and their babies. Gives you a safe place to go after you've had that baby and you're nervous to get out of the house. You don't know if baby's going to scream or throw up or whatever. And this is just a place where it's all moms and we're all there to support each other.
I love that.
So I know we kind of talked about this on our first podcast, so I highly recommend go back, listen to it again. But for the people who haven't, how did you come up with this idea and what was kind of the background to getting to where you are now with it?
For sure. So I had my first daughter in February of 2019 and birth was fine, but I had left my full-time job because I thought I wanted to be a full-time stay-at-home mom. And I realized really quickly how hard of a job that is. And I was dealing with some undiagnosed postpartum anxiety. I needed a pelvic floor physical therapist because birth had just ruined me. And I knew to seek some of those resources out. And then 2 years later, I had my son in 2021, and it was like a rinse and repeat. I had my one doctor's appointment. They didn't catch what was going on with me mentally or emotionally as far as the postpartum goes. They didn't give me any resources as far as visiting a pelvic floor physical therapist, lactation consultations, anything like that. And I realized how many women must go through this, where they have to seek resources out on their own. Maybe they're feeling lonely and they don't have anywhere to turn. And I sat on it for the summer, and I really wanted to be able to offer free services to women. And I figured a nonprofit was the way to go. Yeah. I had not really done much in the nonprofit realm, but I knew that I could fundraise, and I knew I had some amazing women in my corner who would be able to join the board and help advocate in the community. And we launched in January 2022 and have been going ever since.
Nice.
And just also as a dad, like the value, because you mentioned doulas involved, like the post doula too. Like having a doula pre and post is like huge game changer.
Yes.
So highly recommend if there's any guys out there, because I know primarily guys listen to this podcast. You're like, why am I listening to a fourth trimester podcast? If nothing else, like definitely get the doula.
Yes.
Definitely make sure you get up with fourth trimester for when after you have the baby as well too. I'll take your thanks later. I mean, you'll appreciate it.
Let me tell you, during this last birth that I had in July, we had our doula for the birth.
Oh yeah.
And she could say the exact same thing Tommy was saying to me, my husband. And for some reason, when he said, "You're doing great," I wanted to rip his head off. And I'm like, "Shut up." But when she said it, I was like, "Yes, thank you." So just for the men to have some support, because your wife could, not want to chew your head off.
Yes.
If we knew what we knew now for our first one, we definitely would have had a doula too.
Yes.
Just because, especially as a dude, like going into the birthing room and stuff, you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yes.
Like, what are you talking about? What's happening? And like to have someone that's literally their profession to deal with it. And then this is crazy to think of too, but like when they sat down with us beforehand, she was like, all right, let's make a birth plan. And I was like, whoa, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Like, why not plan for the largest event of your life? Like, that makes sense.
How do you want this to go? Chances are it's probably not going to go that way,
Right.
but it's good to have an idea of the things you want. And a lot of the times we don't even know what we don't know what we don't know when it comes
Exactly,
to
yeah.
becoming a parent and labor and delivery and all these things.
Yeah.
And so that kind of goes into more so what you're doing is on the back end of it. You don't know what you don't know, because like you're in the hospital for maybe a day, maybe two, and you're getting help from one of the nurses. You have a doctor checking in every once in a while, and then they're like, all right, looks good. Here's your baby. Have fun.
Keep it alive.
Yeah.
And
And
you're like,
especially in Wilmington,
"Oh,
where
gosh."
this is a huge implant place.
Yes.
Odds are your parents don't live down here. They're not going to be here that long if they are even down here visiting, if they can afford to do that. So that's where I thought it was very valuable for the fourth trimester mission to come into.
For sure. A lot of our moms that come to our new mama meetup, they moved here maybe during COVID, relocating for work, and they didn't have a chance to create any kind of community. And now they're a parent and they're even more lonely and isolated. So it's just a great place to come and find a little village.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because my brain is everywhere at the same time. Doulas in general, because we mentioned it multiple times. Can you tell us what a doula is?
Yeah. So there's prenatal doulas and postpartum doulas and birth doulas. They're all certified in their little window to be able to help you through that process mentally, physically, emotionally.
Gotcha.
So it's almost like having a nurse with you, but they're not medically certified.
Okay.
But they know all the things that are going on in your body and ways to support. There's probably a much better definition for a doula.
So, like, for a guy, it'd be like having different coaches. Like, you have, like,
Yes.
an offensive coach, you have a defensive coach, you have a special teams, and then you have the head coach.
Yes.
And, like, the doula is there to help you assist and be like, okay, like, we'll get you through this. But, I mean, the
I think that's
family
a
and the team.
Great way to look at it.
I was trying to, like, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, you have to break it down so someone will actually understand it. Because, like, I work with diamonds, and I'm like, oh, this is really pretty. It has a lot of fire, a lot of brilliance. And they're like, what does that mean for a guy?
Right.
It performs really well. Like,
Yes.
out there in the sunlight, it's going to look really good. All of our friends are going to be jealous.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, okay. Like, I think the coach analogy
For sure.
dudes makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Which does point out you guys did have a men's meetup. So it's
Yes,
not
we
just
did.
for women, mostly women, but you are trying to help incorporate guys too, right?
Yeah, so this was our first time doing a dad's event.
Yeah.
A lot of the women were like, my husband doesn't have anyone. He doesn't have any dad friends. And I thought it would be a great way to get men together and also be a little bit of a fundraiser for us as well. And I just did not know how last minute men are. The morning of the event, I think we had sold 5 tickets. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's going to be nobody here. And then the room was pretty full. And I was like, wow.
Yes.
People buying tickets all day long and then at the door. And I'm like, Oh my gosh. It makes me really grateful I work with women, honestly.
I think the one bad part was we did it in the fall. And if there was a good football game on a Thursday, guys are like waiting, maybe not. It could be a good match. So we'll have
Tommy
to try
and I,
in springtime.
Alex's husband and I were talking when we first came in. He was like, we need to make sure we get the game on. And I was like, yes.
I know we're thinking about maybe doing something like during March Madness
Nice.
and just to make it like a
Incorporating
hangout
it.
thing. So
Yeah.
at the event we did Thursday night, we had an amazing speaker, Justin Powell, with Every Dad Project. And then we had a panel
Which he'll be on when you're listening to this in 3 weeks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
We had 4 dads in all stages of life, just really giving a lot of wisdom. But we're thinking maybe for the spring, just have March Madness on, get some not as much food, a little less food, and then have drinks and just kind of get all the men together out of the house. And they'll have something to focus on. So they won't feel like they're showing up and don't have anyone to talk to.
But it's also a good time for guys to take your kids out. So like if you have a newborn, it allows you to meet with other dads who are also in that like awkward stage. Because I feel like a lot of guys typically are like, my wife knows what she's doing. We'll leave it to her versus why don't you take them out? You know, take a little responsibility, hold on to that kid, make that connection.
That would be nice, especially in the early days, because the women, I feel like, really do take the brunt of work in the early days, especially if you're nursing. My husband, just this morning, our son is now 4 months old, and he's like, I think that was the first time I've ever gotten him dressed. And I was like, this is not good.
Well, it's crazy though. Like as a dad, like if I were to take my kids out when they were like babies, people all the time be like, "Oh, you're babysitting." I'm like, "They're my effing children."
Right,
Yes.
right.
Like I'm trying to be a dad. Like this is my.
And you get such an applause for doing something with your young children. Like, oh, you're such a great dad. Which no one says that to a mom when she's walking around with her children doing stuff.
Right.
It's just.
And I know they're
wild.
like trying to be nice, like for me
Yes.
too. But like I kind of take it like almost offensively. It's like, yeah, they're my children. Like this is what you do. I think.
It's what you should do.
Right.
I mean, see, that's why I'm the equal opportunity person. I'm like, I think dads should take that opportunity because, yes, the mom is going to be there. And I've heard from my friends, hey, guess what? I'm not a dad. But I have friends who all have young ones. And they're like, you know, this first like 3 to 5 months, the kid is definitely on to the mom. And then it allows like the guy to kind of step in because I guess they get the recognition, like the facial recognition a little bit better. I was like, you guys got to step in. You got to hang out with your kids a little bit more. So
Absolutely.
But for everyone else because we do have women that listen to, it's about a 45-55 split. It's pretty darn close to 50-50. Yeah,
Okay.
believe it or
cheers,
not.
ladies.
Yeah.
Right? So for the rest of the year, what other events do you do? Because I know you stay pretty busy with events.
Yeah, well, our programs are happening constantly, of course. We
Right.
have meetups in Wilmington and in Hampstead right now.
Okay.
And Wilmington happens twice a month. Hampstead is once a month. And then our home visits are ongoing as moms come in. As far as other fundraising and big events that we do, we had done a Botox and Bubbles event in the past. I think that's probably going to change for next year. Our biggest fundraising event is our spring brunch and silent auction, and that's going to be March 22nd at Blue Water. So really excited for that. And then we want to continue with our dad's event. And then this year, for the first time, we did a community baby shower, and we were able to get a wonderful grant from Novant, and over 100 families came out, and we hosted a baby shower for families who may not get a baby shower. We gave every mom a bag that had diapers and wipes and baby wash, and then we had a ton of huge raffle prizes like car seats and strollers and, you know, a bunch of things they may need. And Once Upon a Child donated clothes, so all these moms were able to come stock up on clothes, and it was a really cool event just to give back to the community. I'm excited
really
to do
smart.
that again next year.
Did you come up with that, or was that kind of like something that you saw, or?
It was totally not me. Lolita Bryan, she has had this vision for a long time. She grew up in Wilmington, worked at the hospital for years and years, and now she's retired, and she actually lives up in Cary. But her and Sarah Hess, who runs Nurture Wellness, she's a therapist down here, they had been talking about it, and Sarah's like, Lolita, we got to make this happen. And they reached out. They're like, hey, this is right up your alley. And, of course, we have the nonprofit status, which makes it great for everyone who wants to donate. So we were able to all work together as a joint force, and it was awesome.
Yes.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I saw what you guys were doing that. I was like, that's a fantastic idea.
Right. And I think it's going to grow exponentially every year as the word gets out.
Right.
That was
So I
huge.
know you spoke at 1 Million Cups, and I feel like that really kind of meshed in with what you were saying there, kind of like expanding the nonprofit and really kind of diving into the communities that really need the help.
Yes. Yeah, it's been interesting. I haven't done much for marketing for the nonprofit. It's really just been kind of word of mouth and social media.
Right.
And that's kind of kept us, you know, in like a middle ground as far as like Wilmington population. And I feel like we haven't really dove into the high need areas. So the Wilmington Community Baby Shower was an excellent place to propel us into some of those higher need communities. And now we've got a whole bunch of moms that really, any mom needs a home visit postpartum, but moms who might struggle for resources a little more, we're going to be able to really connect with them. So I'm excited for that.
Neat.
So, have you met? I feel like I got to get you and Emmy need to meet up.
Oh, that's
Gibson.
right.
She was on our podcast back in the day. Gosh, that feels like forever ago. But she also works in the community,
Nice.
and I feel like you guys would like link up really well.
Love that.
But as a nonprofit, one, how does that like affect the funding that you guys get? Do you get funding? Like, how do you guys get money to invest in the community?
So funding really comes from a lot of places. Of course, our fundraising events are the biggest. That's our biggest source of funding.
Okay.
With nonprofits, it can be grants. It could be donations from other individuals or foundations. And the best nonprofits have a good, well-rounded like portfolio of funding, I guess you would say. So corporate sponsors are huge for us. We also do the fundraising events. We have gotten a few grants, which has been amazing, but that's of course a process to apply for, and then individual donors in the community. So it's been an adventure trying to figure out where funding's coming from, but it's been incredible just to watch the community really show up, and business owners who really want to, you know, invest and give back. That never ceases to blow my mind, how many people really want to give back to the community, even though their business may not be huge.
Yeah.
Even one of our previous guests, Pete Fournier, was with All Things Insurance Group. He was one of the sponsors.
He was
for
a
the
last
event.
minute
I was gonna
sponsor
say,
on
yeah.
Thursday.
He's like, he is a guy who's like, wait, I can sponsor this? Let's go.
I know.
And it's a
love
good
that.
thing too, like because he's a new dad.
Oh,
And
nice. I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like his daughter is a few years
she's-
old now.
Yeah, she's 2 now, so a little
It's
bit
just still newer.
Newer.
The kid hasn't hit school yet, so I
That's
consider
true.
that a new dad.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And I think that's good to like try and invest in that community and make sure that like you're still helping people where, you know, you kind of need it.
Absolutely.
So do you have any more events coming up, like before the end of the year coming up?
We don't have any big like fundraising events that people could attend, but of course Giving Tuesday is in November.
Right.
And we have a founding donor campaign. So the first 100 monthly donors get their name on our website, and they're considered founding donors, and that's for as low as $15 a month.
Oh, wow.
Every little monthly donation is so huge, and this is for any nonprofit. You know, if you can commit $5 a month to a nonprofit that you love and want to support, that makes such a difference, because then we can project that, you know, in our budget for the next year. And so we'll be pushing the Giving Tuesday founding donor campaign, and then corporate sponsorships for 2025 are huge, especially if you are a business that needs a year-end tax write-off. We love to provide that for you. We will take
Shout
it.
out to those business owners. That's the reason why we're doing this now. This is typically when you are meeting with your CPAs going, hey, what do I need to do before the end of the year? And at least for a lot of my clients, it's give away X amount of dollars. So you can either hit that like lower tax bracket, or so you can save in whatever reason. Like, that's why I'm bringing these guys on. So like, find what works for you. Make sure you help our people out.
Yes. We love giving those tax receipts.
Right.
So, because I'm that guy some days. Does it help you bet more to get a single check that says, hey, this is considered $15 a month? Or does it help you if you get paid monthly? Like if someone tries to be a donor?
You know, either one. If I'm being completely honest, we try to budget. We have a goal for X amount of corporate sponsorships for the year. And then we know what we have recurring, and we always try to up that by a certain percentage every year. So really either one.
Yeah. Well, I asked that because, like, we're in that time of year and that time of life where every subscription service is like, oh, hey, you know, sign up for this yearly or sign up for this.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real, you guys. I'm looking at you in the camera. You can cut one of those subscription services and donate to a local nonprofit and help somebody else. Like, let's be real. You don't need 6 subscription services.
Or
you just
more.
need 5.
Your apps, man. The amount of
true.
apps
So
we're
many,
paying for that I'm like, oh, another $10 charge? Okay, whatever. And I mean, it's time to reel those in, you know?
Yes.
I think Jennifer and I did that in July-ish, something like that. And we were like, oh, shit, we were paying a whole lot more. Because, like, every time you sign up for it, you're like, oh, only $5, only $15,
Right.
only $20. And then, like, 8 subscriptions later, you're like, this is a few $100s a month.
Mm-hmm.
And you could be giving that to a nonprofit and feeling so good about it.
And honestly, you're right, though, right? Because, like, I didn't use 95%
Right.
of those. And, like, if I actually, like, cared about it, I'd be like, okay, hey, maybe I should, like, send over there. But you did touch on something else, too. Like, any $5 or $15 a month, like, could make a huge impact.
For sure.
Especially when you think about it over the, like, nearly 250,000 people that live in New Hanover County alone.
And I know this was correct a year ago, but Wilmington has the largest amount of registered nonprofits per capita in at least the state, if not more. Like bigger territory than that. Yes.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Tyler, I guess we got to turn to a nonprofit.
We actually discussed that, but then there's
Really?
the whole board thing and everything that's involved in that. And I was like, we didn't have time to get sponsorships in the first place, let alone run
Right.
a nonprofit.
True.
I love events. I'll help you do a fundraising event.
All right,
We could
that
split the
sounds good.
profits for
Yeah,
the
that works.
men's event.
See?
Yeah.
If only.
Because the reason why we thought about starting to do it is since it is whiskey and wisdom, we wanted to give back to substance abuse type
I
of
love
things
that.
here. Yeah, because like we do this for fun. Like
Right.
we were gonna try to monetize it, and we're like, why? There's no point in it.
Right.
And we'd rather help the community that way. So that's why we thought about it. And then I kind of listened to you and Sarah Old with the Upper Foundation, which we're going to talk to Wendy next.
Love it.
And we're like, that may be a lot of work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's work. And then you also like are supposed to stay within certain ratios so that your like budget looks good to the IRS. Like X amount has to go towards your programs. And as a new nonprofit, that's really hard to do.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you're trying to keep low overhead for your programs.
Right.
It's been an interesting juggle over
Yeah.
the last 3 years.
And I was thinking that because you were mentioning like you don't have marketing really, and I don't think people realize like in this past season we've had all the text messages we got for like the elections and everything going
Dear
on.
Lord.
That's all money that was donated and paid somebody to send out a bajillion text messages or just paid an AI. And I think it's great that you are minimizing like the marketing because you're using that money and putting it towards a good resource, which is helping those mothers and those families.
I just have a really quick thing to say that since you mentioned that bothers the hell out of me. I'm sorry to like take your time up for like 30 seconds.
No.
Both of the campaigns spent nearly $2 billion on marketing and doing whatever in the hell campaigns do. Imagine what any nonprofit or any good thing a government could have done with $2 billion.
That's wild.
And to that point, there were people that were giving $5 a month
Yeah, no.
to a campaign. I think that's wild, but
Yeah, I can't.
I digress.
I cannot even.
Yeah.
I cannot.
On to the next one.
That's the most political we will get this episode. Just
Right,
saying,
yeah,
you could
and,
use
and
that
that's
money
attacking
and help.
everyone.
Yeah, right. On
Don't
both
worry.
sides.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you have a silent auction
Mm-hmm.
in March.
Yes.
Is that like invite only? Like how do people
No.
find out about it,
All are
get in there?
welcome to
Yeah.
join. So our event at Blue Water, we have limited seating, but tickets will go on sale for that probably at the end of the year. And anyone who either wants to learn more about what we're doing or just be there to support financially is welcome to come. And we're also looking for silent auction donations. Okay. So I will take those as well. For sure.
You. I can't compete with the other jewelry store, but I can still donate something.
Hey, we will take it.
Can we donate alcohol?
I think so. I mean, I think we auctioned off a bottle last year.
Okay. I was just thinking about that too. I was like, we could probably donate.
Yeah, that would be good.
Where's I going with that? Oh yeah. So actually, I didn't go last year. I went the year prior.
Yes,
and I would like to. I was the lone survivor man that actually stayed. Everyone else went downstairs. There was a couple that showed up and they all went downstairs to the bar. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to support and I'm going to stay. And then what actually happened after that is a lot of the guests that were involved in it ended up coming on the podcast for the next like 5 or 6 months.
Oh, nice.
So yes,
love that.
It worked very
great
well.
Great connection.
And, yeah, exactly.
It's a great networking event too.
Hold on. I'm going to put it on my calendar. You said, when is it?
March 22nd.
Okay.
11 to 1 at Blue Water. I just love that venue so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice.
It's a great spot.
Being on the water. Although it might be here next year because we're going to need more space.
That's true. Yeah. Even when I was there 2
not
years
next
ago,
year.
it was
the year after.
Yeah. Even when I was there 2 years ago, it was like there was a lot of people there. And then Jennifer went last year and she was like, there was a lot of people there.
Yeah, for sure. It's growing. It makes my heart happy.
Yeah, it's good.
Love that.
Yes.
So this is kind of a twofold question. So as the executive of the nonprofit, what's one of the biggest struggles that you have? And to build on top of that, how is a way that the community can help you with some of those struggles?
Oh, man. I think being the founder and executive director makes it tough because it's my like passion project. Mm-hmm. So delegation is a huge struggle. I think it is for most maybe small business owners or founders in general. And I have a board, and really board development is something that I have struggled with because I never sat on a board before starting a nonprofit. So I really didn't know what that looked like, what it should look like. And I've done research, I've gotten some wisdom, and I've brought on some really strong board members who have board experience. But I think having people say, hey, we're going to take this off your plate, you know, for me, like all the online stuff, like the back end stuff, the CRM, which we still need to update, you know, thank goodness we have an amazing website guy who helps coordinate with that. Any automations, that's definitely a struggle. And then when it comes to the fundraising events, that's a lot to put on and put together. Mm-hmm. Definitely could use a little more brain power for those things to help. And even just like gathering up silent auction donations and, you know, all the running around gets to be a lot. So, and then hosting the meetups. I would love to have more volunteers who really, maybe it's women who their children are older or they're really passionate about helping other women, just to help host those new mama meetups. You really just have to be encouraging and open and a listening ear to do well at that.
Yeah. Right. You touched on something that was interesting too. So in the work that I do, I work with a lot of nonprofits as well, just giving money away to them. Mm-hmm. And so I talk to them often, and they're like, as much as we appreciate all the money that comes in and it's well needed and it does go to really good causes, something that almost all of the nonprofits have always brought up is they always need more volunteers. Mm-hmm. People think that money can just like make the problems go away, but like you actually need to pay the people to do the work. Or not pay the people to do the work. You need the people to just show up to do the work.
Yes.
So that's something else that kind of you touched on there too. Just people to show up to actually do the work is something that anyone can do. It doesn't matter if you have $0. You can always show up to help.
Well, and I know, especially during this season when a lot of nonprofits, you know, are getting together packages and stuff to give out to people, just spending a Saturday morning helping any one of these nonprofits serve food or get packages together or deliver things can be so helpful.
So you're saying I can help people not on Thanksgiving Day?
All year round.
Oh my God.
It's shocking.
Sorry, I just watched the episode of How I Met Your Mother,
Yeah.
and it just made me laugh. Like, it's painful because I know why. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly
Okay.
what you're talking about. Barney's like the star.
Yes. So in the show, he's like the biggest sleazeball. Like, he hooks up with
yeah.
everybody, but he legit goes and like volunteers weekly. Yes, it is to try and get laid, but he is volunteering, and he shows up, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, just because they look kind of sleazy on the outside doesn't mean they can't help and do good."
And that's definitely brownie points for any single guy.
Right.
If you're volunteering, that looks real good. Just saying.
On your
Good
resume,
point.
Yeah.
with the woman. You're just like,
Sorry,
"Here
we
you go."
don't have many spots for men in our organization.
True.
But, I mean, I'll take you on the board. I would love to have
True.
male perspective on the board. We did have a male board member for a little bit, and then he had to step down. But it's just really nice to get a man's perspective on the organization and how things are going and growing in development. Not opposed to it.
True. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered like how someone ends up on a board. Like my company, we have board meetings, I guess quarterly, and I'm just like, how do you end up on this board?
Some of my people, I don't even know how I found them. Our current treasurer was actually a mom that I did a home visit with.
Okay.
Who's an accountant, and she's like, I would love to get involved. I think
Oh,
people seek out organizations that they feel they can give back to and that they
Okay.
connect with, or they're just like voluntold. Because that's been a couple of my
Right.
board members. I'm like, you would be great. I need your
I
expertise.
need your expertise. I like
Yes.
that.
Absolutely.
So I think we touched on a lot of the events you have coming up, ways that you kind of want to move forward. And I know we asked you this question for yourself, but I don't even know if we started this question yet.
No.
When you came on, I didn't think so. So I'm going to steal Chris's question. And what would you deem as success for the nonprofit going forward?
I think the biggest thing for me is how many mothers we're reaching. And this will be our, 22, 23. We're ending our third full year. And we have done over 150 home visits in 3 years. And we've worked with over 275 moms between the new mama meetups and the home visits. And just continuing to expand that impact, knowing moms are getting meals, knowing they're getting connected with resources they need, knowing that they're finding friends and finding community. As long as that continues to grow, to me, that's success.
Nice.
That's great.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
I applaud you.
Thank you.
Um,
I like taking care of my ladies.
So typically it's like if you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? But I'm going to switch it. If you could tell a new mom one thing besides reaching out to Fourth Trimester Mission, what would it be?
It gets better. It gets better. It's so hard to see it when you're in the moment and you're sleep deprived and maybe you're having intrusive thoughts and you can't figure out breastfeeding and your body's healing and you just feel like the world might be falling apart, that it does get better and that there are resources for you in that moment when you feel like you're about to just fall apart. It literally makes me want to cry. There is help for you and you're going to get through it. And we are designed to get through it, is the thing. You are capable. That's a lot of words. But
It is.
No, that's
But
perfect.
it fits.
But it's also true.
So my last legit question, well, second to last, what'd you think about the gimlet?
Delish. I would definitely drink that. And I'm not really I don't do a lot of cocktails because I don't like things to be too sweet, but that is amazing.
Nice.
Well balanced.
Yes.
It is. I thought we were going to drink this Booker's over here. And I was like,
And if you want to burn your taste buds off. Did you end up trying it?
The Bookers?
Yeah, because we brought that to the event too. That was the one that I said was real hot.
No, I did not
No.
try it. No, I had the Eagle one.
Oh, yeah, Eagle Rare.
And then I had the Howler Head, which was a
Totally
huge
opposite.
hit.
I know. I
People
walked
love
up
the
to
banana.
it and I was like, I just brought this for fun because I have like 3 bottles of it because
Yeah.
we were Howlerhead ambassadors. And I was like, I'll bring it. What the hell? And I was like, why did everyone that's awesome.
Everyone loved
I
the
didn't
banana.
expect it.
Well, because
Yeah.
you don't see it anywhere. Like everyone hears about the traditional whiskeys
Right.
and then Howler Head, you're like, Oh, wait, what? Like, it's not in a lot of menus. I've only seen it in a drink in one bar in town.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be like a pina colada or something like coconut, pineapple,
They
banana.
did something interesting with it, didn't they?
Yeah. There was some place local, like in the district that did it a few years ago. And then I went to, it's not Whiskey Creek.
Mm.
And they had it, I think, in one of their drinks a while back.
Yeah. I did that one in the tobacco barn that Tommy was like, you got to try that one. That was pretty good.
You didn't like that one at all. It was Broad Slab.
Oh, okay.
That was what, like Chris was like, that's great that it's local, but
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it had an interesting taste to it. It was different.
Yeah.
Just since we're on that topic too, the one thing that I thought was really neat is there was a bunch of dads that like came up to me afterwards too, and they're like, "Can we do this more often?"
Yes.
And I thought that was really neat. And there was a dads meetup, but I think it was too often for dads. It was once a month, which doesn't sound too often, but it is. So I think like once a quarter, if like dads in general, whether it's through fourth trimester or whiskey wasn't or whatever, whoever decides to do it, I think would be very valuable.
I think Tommy is going to send an email out to all the guys who came, and Justin might reach out as well.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So, because I know there were some dads who did want to get together, and I got like 2 emails like, if you do something, please let me know.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if you do it once a quarter, you have basketball, football, baseball, and hockey. Like
True.
That is true.
All the
surrounded
sports.
by one of the big sports.
Yeah,
Sorry,
get
I'm
together
just-
during like playoff season or something and
Yeah.
have
Oh, yeah.
like everyone wear their jerseys.
I think Tommy will probably do something that's a little more like, let's all get together and hang out. If
yeah.
I'm going to do something, it's going to be to benefit the nonprofit.
Right. Makes
So
sense.
I'm just putting that out there.
Which is actually a great compliment though, right? Because it
Yes.
kind of builds the community and gets the dads
Absolutely.
together. So when that 1 year comes around to help the nonprofit, which I know all dads want to do is to like help their wives and other mothers that are out there. I think it just kind of makes it even better and stronger.
Which we are searching for our 2025 Fourth Trimester Mission Man of the Year.
That is true.
You get a nice belt.
That was actually pretty sweet.
You don't
Yeah.
get a jacket? You get a belt?
Ooh,
It
a
looks
jacket's
like-
a good idea.
Yeah, it was like a UFC belt and it was actually pretty heavy. It was
Like
legit.
a 6-pound
Yeah.
Like
belt.
Paradigm's belt?
Yeah, very similar
Okay.
to that. Yeah.
Sorry, for this year I've somehow ended up at golf training, and my head when you said
Like a
you-
master's jacket.
yes, but because we're at the beach, it would be blue instead of the green, and then you just
Okay. Yeah, but then I got to get it custom fitted to the guy.
No.
You know, that's tricky. Well, I'm not going to give you a jacket that doesn't fit.
well, that's like I'm just giving ideas.
Yeah,
then
yeah,
but if you did a bomber jacket instead
Okay,
of like a
okay.
like a
Yeah.
bomber is kind of cool looking.
Could definitely
and you
do
could
that.
Rock that.
I'm here for it.
I'm here with the ideas. Do I know how you're going to afford it or like fix it? No. I mean, the Masters has
start
been
somewhere.
around for decades.
Yes.
Which is also a nonprofit.
That's wild to
The
me.
tournament?
Mhm.
I was like that.
The NFL's a nonprofit.
Shut the front door.
No, it is
100%.
technically.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Because they give like
What
money
an
to like 5 kids to go
enterprise.
play like outside.
No,
or something.
'cause
It's
they-
more than that. I was just being extremely
It should be a lot bigger
facetious.
than that.
I'm extremely facetious. But yeah, they
I could see
also
that.
pay their players millions of dollars, but it is what it is.
As long
Can
as
I
you
be an
get,
NFL player?
as long as you get close to zero at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, which we always end up in a surplus. We have for the last 3 years, which is one I'd rather be there, and then
Right.
going to our next year. Yeah, we're still working on that. We kind of like every year for the budget, just throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, and it's going pretty well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, as a new nonprofit, that's kind of what you have to do. Like you
Yes.
don't know where it's going to come in, how much the growth is going to come from. And all
For
that stuff.
sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
we're coming
so
up on our time, and I know Chris has one last question.
How can people reach out and find you and kind of like support and show up?
Yeah. Well, our website, Fourth Trimester Mission, has everything there. Contact form. If you want to become a monthly donor, we'll take that too. We also are on Facebook and Instagram at Fourth Trimester Mission with the number 4.
Okay.
And yeah, that'll be the best place probably.
Is the website spelled out?
I was about to ask.
The number 4, fourth,
Okay.
like 4th.
Yep.
Fourth Trimester Mission.
Hey, did you not buy the space for spelling it out funky wrong?
No, I didn't even. I don't think about those things.
So,
Yeah, but you just connect it.
Oh, okay. I'll reach out to my website guy about that.
Yeah, it's like $12 a year. It's well worth it.
Okay.
Well, it
Good to know.
depends
We
on
do
how
have a
popular it
trademark.
is.
Oh, good.
Really?
Yeah, after we started off as Mom Club Inc. And then when I messaged a previous mom club about taking down their Wilmington page because they haven't been here for 10 years, I got threatened with litigation. And I was like, well, we'll change our name. And it works out better anyway.
I'll say I like Fourth Trimester
This
Mission
is definitely,
Yeah.
it speaks to what we do. And a lot of times, even talking with donors, when you say Mom Club, they're like, oh, cool. You know,
Right.
like, write that off.
Yes.
No, thanks. So it was definitely a good move. It all works out in the end.
Yes.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We will
Absolutely.
definitely, we will be donating something.
You guys already have.
Yeah, I know, but
The other night was amazing.
that's what we're here for.
It was so
Support
much
local.
fun, and we got to get rid of the whiskey that we've been like collecting for the past 3 years. So it was a win-win situation.
Yes.
Get rid of, more like allow others to enjoy the alcohol that we've already tried.
There we
Yes.
go. Beautiful.
In this political season, I like to stay political and just.
Nice and PC.
Yeah, you like to try to make everything sound better.
But yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next one. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.